Welcome down, everyone, to another episode of Those Nerds You Know. My name is Ethan.
I'm Eddie.
I'm Scott.
And we are Those Nerds You Know.
We're a podcast where we talk about nerdy things like video games, anime, comic book movies, comic books, sometimes.
Eddie's deteriorating health.
Yeah, I'm... Excuse me.
Sounds like he's trying to exercise a demon.
Yeah, apparently, because, bring out Mr. Alucard, please.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
This week we're talking about Castlevania. More
Castlevania.
specifically, the Netflix series Season 2.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's good. Spoiler alert.
It's pretty good.
I mean, it's all right.
No, it's really good.
It's real good. It's very good.
Yes. So the second season
Objectively.
in the Castlevania Netflix series. This has twice as many episodes as the first. First was 4 episodes, and it was, I think, mostly just hey, let's see if people are into this. And then people were seriously into it. And then we got this.
So technically, it could all be considered one season with the Netflix series.
So.
It's 12 episodes.
True. And season 3 has been confirmed. It was confirmed actually a while ago, I think.
That's really good.
Yeah,
That's
I think it was
positive.
I think it was confirmed with season 2.
Yeah. Back in... I know someone was... I think the person playing Trevor Belmont was confirmed it like back in June of this year, which is intense. I didn't know that until after I looked it up. But yeah, so we're getting a 3rd season, which will be great. One would assume.
Yeah. Well, they've got a good track record so far. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, of
Because the
course.
first season was really good. Well, the first 4 episodes.
Absolutely.
You want to call that a season. Quote unquote.
They really should call it kind of like a pilot. It's not really a pilot episode, but it's really just kind of like a pilot season more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes little to no time at all to absorb. I mean, I for one, I'm coming from someone who didn't watch any of the original quote unquote season until this new season came out. Season 2 came out, and I was very glad because that 4 episodes just gives you not enough at all.
Yeah.
You're telling
And
me.
it's a pretty simple, base plot. It's a vampire hunter going after freaking Dracula. But
Yep.
Yep.
in the difference here, they dove a bit deeper into Dracula's lore and of the game, and that the game doesn't touch on it very much, but they made him very likable and humanized.
Very much humanized.
Yeah,
I like
I
that
agree.
as well because usually we kind of see Dracula as like this, evil bad guy for the sake of evil, handlebar twisting mustache, punching babies kind of evil. And we're like, this time we kind of see like, oh yeah, he's evil. We're not going to argue that, but we do understand that like where he's coming from. He's coming out of sadness and depression from the loss of his wife.
Yeah, at least in the second season. In the first season, I mean, he didn't really do anything.
Yeah, first season he just kind of opened the gates of hell and let them take care of it.
Yeah, after his wife had been killed, but we see him accepting this woman named Lisa, who wants to be a doctor and help people. But obviously, this is in the very old time of the 1400s, so the church is witchcraft.
Yeah.
And then they kill her,
Yeah.
and then Dracula's like, okay, well, time for humanity to die.
Yes. He gets real pissed off that they killed his lovely wife just for being a doctor, and he's now determined to wipe humanity off the face of the earth. And
As you do whenever you suffer
yeah,
a heartache blow.
yeah, this is exactly how you should react. And we should mention, for those of you that don't know, Castlevania is based off of a video game series of the same name, Castlevania.
1986.
Yes, made by Konami.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are saying, and I would probably agree, that this is the best adaptation of any video game thing into anything else.
Yeah, I would agree with that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that as well. I've never played any of the Castlevania games, but I think this did one of the things that the other video game movies that you guys have reviewed should have done, and that is because of this, I want to go back and play Castlevania games because of it.
Yes, that is a mark of a good adaptation, I think.
Yeah. And I think the difference here is that the TV series, or at least Netflix, allowed for like the original writers to have such a heavy hand in its creation, because like the lead writer of the Castlevania series, which was Warren Ellis, I think his name was. He had like the writers of the original game like on him the entire time, and he had like even had to rewrite one of those scenes or one of the scripts like 8 different times. It was ridiculous, but
that sounds like an intense process. But speaking of like as someone who comes from that area of entertainment, that seems like. But the product speaks for itself. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a very good series.
Yeah, it's really, really excellent. I guess we'll review. Didn't we? I don't think we talked about the first season ever.
We didn't.
Okay, so let's do it all together. I felt I probably should have rewatched the first 4 episodes when I went to watch this. I think all together it probably feels much better than just watching individually. Season 2
it flowed very well into it from one part to the next. That's what was so great about it.
Yeah, I bet it did, especially because like season 2 felt slow to me at certain points, throughout a good chunk of it, actually for me. But I think coupled with all the action and intense setup from the first 4, it probably would have been much more palatable. Because like in this season, the first couple episodes, there's a bit of action, and then there's just a whole lot of like mostly intrigue and drama.
Yeah, a lot of exposition.
That'd be called exposition.
Yes.
But I think that was needed as well, because the first 4 episodes were great. It was all action packed and it had a lot of stuff into it. But I felt like, from someone who didn't understand the video game series, there were a lot of things I was like, okay, but what? And so a little bit of that exposition was kind of explained in the beginning of season 2, which I think is what it needed. And I think because they had those extra episodes to play with, that they could use those things. With only 4 episodes, there would be no way for them to possibly elaborate on anything.
I think okay. So let's talk about the characters here. Let's set the stage here. We've got Dracula, we've already mentioned, big bad vampire trying to kill everybody. Trevor Belmont is the vampire hunter, who we also mentioned. And his family, the Belmonts, have for generations hunted the creatures of the night. Vampire, werewolf, goblin, ghoul, gargoyle, all of those things. They hunt them, they figure out the best ways to hunt them, they collect samples, they collect knowledge and write it down, and weapons and all that for the best way to defeat these night creatures. They've been passing that down for centuries, but in a similar fate to the wife of Dracula, his family was eventually sort of like almost blamed for these dark creatures and like thought of as witches and such, and where the people eventually turned on them, burned down their house or attempted to, and killed them all except for Trevor.
And everybody thought that the Belmonts were eradicated completely.
Yes, including the vampires. We've also got Trevor's partner friend, Sypha, who is a speaker, which is like a group of people that keep the history of the world, but they do it in an oral tradition, so they do not write anything. They just share stories of people and memorize them and such and such and such.
They're basically bards without the music.
Ah, cool. Yes, that's a very good parallel. Yes, very accurate. The only comparison I have is the bookmen from The Gray Man, but you'd have to know what the bookmen are. So they're like good speakers, but they actually write everything.
Yeah, but she's sort of like a mage too. So like
yes,
she bends magic and such.
She's got this Avatar: The Last Airbender feel to her a lot.
She does, which is dope. She's real good, and she goes from like kind of good to real good.
To like
OP. She goes to like OP very quickly.
Real fast.
She's like, oh, I just memorized some spells, and like now I can call upon meteors and send them to the earth. You're like, all right.
Whew. Yeah, it's nuts. She's crazy. But she's good. She's very handy to have around. And in the first 4 episodes, Trevor meets up with her and his sort of like aimless, accidental quest of destroying night creatures. He's kind of drunken and
Washed up person.
yeah, washed up because he doesn't have any like real like he's a Belmont and no one they either don't know who they are or don't give a crap or they still believe that they're just witches and warlocks and all need to die. So like he's not really liked by anyone and he's not a very likable guy, which makes me like him.
Yeah.
He's got a whip that's like 3 miles long, and
as all freaking Belmonts do.
yes,
That whip, though. It's a force to be reckoned with.
It is, and he's the fight with him and Alucard in the 4th episode. It's so cool.
Oh,
Gosh,
yeah.
it's good. So the animation in this series is primo. It's real good, and it's taking all like the best parts of like anime fights and anime animation, and leaving out the worst bits. So comparable, I think, to what Avatar: The Last Airbender did, and just like great movements, really cool powers, and
Very
explosive fights. But there's not a lot of like monologuing and dumb talking during the fight, which a lot of anime is guilty of. It's just smooth and really cool. Gosh.
I would somewhat disagree. I mean, it was great, but it was also choppy at places. Like the frame rates are very slow, strangely. Like they do a technique with this sort of animation where they like double the frames used during like shots and stuff.
Yep.
And it looks pretty like it looks visible for some reason with Netflix series. Like I've noticed this, but I haven't really brought it up before.
Was it something that was in season 1 that had been, or was it?
No, season 1 was actually a bit better about it. Like,
Yeah, I
don't
think
recall
I can notice that in season 2. Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's more. What
And
happened.
I've also noticed this in Voltron. While watching Voltron, Voltron also does this, and
Yes.
it's very visible sometimes.
Voltron
but
does
at
it
other
like
times-
Voltron has like certain seasons where they have really nice smooth animation for certain sort of really cool moments. But then there's like a season where they do that for really dumb moments, and I'm like, why did you make this choice? And then like the season afterwards, I think they like there was like a drop in quality. I was like, yeah, because you wasted your money on this nonsense. Like it's this dumb.
Yeah,
But
but I mean the fights are amazing because I
Yes.
think they did actually not use that during the fights because it looks so fluid, like you said and stuff, and I think it looks great.
yes.
Granted, it's not like something like UFO Table does with like Fate or Fate Stay Night and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think those fights are like top of the line, like peak
Yeah, I'd agree.
animation stuff.
Fate's got some good fights.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, as for like Americanized cartooning and drawing, it was superb. Like it's one of the
Yes.
best as well. So
Yes.
Castlevania has that.
Absolutely. Definitely a triumph, I think, as far as Western animation.
It's just parts that I had problems, like just a few problems.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I think I
It's all
noticed
good.
a couple of those in the second season where I was just like, that wasn't as good. But I think on the whole, it's really awesome.
I think Eddie's right though with some of that animation, especially in like the final fights. There is a lot of like that screen tear feeling to it when he's like, moving from one place to another like super fast. They kind of make it look kind of like Dragon Ball Z, teleporting, moving fast kind of thing. But it also kind of gives this like idea that like the world is just blurred for a split second, and it's just weird.
Yeah, and they don't have to do that. Like I can understand that, budgets and stuff, but I don't know. But I mean, like the fight with the castle moving at the time was really good. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That castle moving was crazy cool.
We also have Alucard in this, who's woken in the first season. He is the son of Dracula and Dracula's human wife. So he is a half-breed, and we learn that he's not very old in this season. He's
Original
like-
name
yeah.
Adrian.
I
he's
thought he was from like the
renamed-
future or something, and then he would just like come. He'd use his like dad's technology to come back and stop his father.
No,
but
he's
I
not
didn't know.
Trunks. He's he's like he just grew up real quick. Which I don't know. Is that a thing? Because that was a theme in Twilight. Like, Bella's child grew real fast.
Wow.
Like, and I'm just like,
I
is
think
that,
that
is,
was just to cover
vampire
up the...
lore or
is this
Castlevania
is this a
lore.
hybrid vampire thing? Is this what they do? Is this so that they can be sexier faster? Is this
Sexier, faster.
is this what we want? Like, I don't know, and I don't know if that's canon to the games or anything. But anyway, Alucard becomes Trevor's like loose ally, and they're like,
I love their relationship.
it's
Yeah.
so funny, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's so
they really
good.
played it up too, and it might be a little campy to some people, but it was
Yes.
very refreshing, and I enjoyed it completely
It's
because
very
you don't
buddy
see that,
cop at some
Yeah.
places for sure.
I agree.
like especially in cartoons, you don't see that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Just saying eat shit and die. Yeah, it's just fuck you.
Yes, it's so funny. Oh, it was so good. But yeah, as far as the comedy, there is a decent amount. I think they tried real hard in the second one for comedy, and like some of it hits really well, and some of it's just like meh for me. But like
Agreed.
when it hits well, it's really good. Ugh. So those are all the main players in season 1. Alucard, by the way, just he wants to. I don't remember what was his reasoning in the first season. Scott, do you remember what his reasoning in the first season was for killing Dracula, for wanting to stop Dracula?
Well, his idea was that his mother, his mother's final words were to not do this, and so in Alucard's mind, he's like, well, I have to stop my father because my mother would have wanted me to do that, and mostly not even for like the human's sake, but also for his father's sake. He wanted to stop his father because he knew that by doing this, his father would just go down a dark spiral, and he would just continue to be evil, and
Right.
like this would just beget more darkness for himself,
Yeah.
and his wife would not want that for him. So
Yeah, I get that because I mean I think it's kind of revealed revealed in the second season that like Alucard was already aware that Dracula really wasn't himself anymore. He was like, "You died when my mother died," and
Yep.
so yeah, I think he's just like, I need to actually end my father's life because that's just what he wants, and I don't want all this suffering because that's not what my mom wants. So yeah, he's a cool character.
yeah, and in season 1, when the wife is burned at the stake, Dracula comes and he's got this apparition and stuff, and he's like taunting all the humans and everything, and you kind of, as a viewer, you kind of get this whole like, ooh, y'all done effed up, But when we get into season 2, we see Dracula's side of the story. We're like, oh my gosh, like he is just torn up for good reason, obviously. Like nobody wants their wife burned at a stake or anything like that for technology freak. But Dracula had definitely gone down the rabbit hole of darkness and was not planning to crawl out at any time.
So season 2 main like change to the status quo in season 2 is the introduction of all of Dracula's vampire friends and his war generals, his forge masters. His generals are varying degrees of different stereotypical historical figures. We've got like a Viking guy. We've got some like Middle Eastern looking ones, some more Eastern Europe ones, and like I think maybe even like an East Asian looking vampire.
Who is the Grudge apparently?
Right, yeah. Most of them don't even speak, and they just fight a little bit towards the end of the season. The interesting ones are Godbrand, the Viking guy, and Carmela, one of the Eastern European lady vampires.
It's very sultry.
Indeed, the sultriest. And then, in addition to that, he has his 2 forge masters who are humans, Isaac and Hector, who I think are very interesting, both in their own right, and cool additions to the series.
Yeah. They're humans, and they're commanding vampires due to Dracula's command. So.
Yes. Dracula's like, I know these guys, I trust them, I like their work, and I know that they're good additions to my war because they want to do this, and they're not driven by needing to feed on humans. They are humans themselves, and they're still still wanting to do this for me, so I know they are loyal, which is fair logic, I guess.
It's very weird logic, but also it makes a whole lot of sense because, like you said, these guys have the same kind of hatred towards their own species that that Dracula did, because they were kind of exercised in the same way that he was. Almost the same way, and they were just humans that had special abilities.
Yeah. So a Forge Master is a person who can reanimate a dead body and form it into a creature of the night or otherwise, which is what both of these people can do.
Unless you're a dog.
Unless you're a dog, in which case you're coming back as a dog. But they're cool. I like the way they make us feel for them. I really do feel for both Hector and Isaac. Hector's a bit stupider than Isaac.
Oh yeah, Hector's an idiot.
There's this moment when Carmela is trying to get one of them onto her side so she can have someone to build an army for her, and she wants to take over. She wants to kill Dracula. She wants to be the top vamp, and she's tired of all the male anythings in the world. She refers to all males as man children, which is fine. I get it's a bit black and white. So
yeah, it's a bit heavy-handed for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, but so she ends up getting Hector to her side through intrigue and
very easily.
Very easily. Yeah. There's a moment where she's talking to him. She's trying to get him to distrust Dracula, because they're both, Hector and Isaac are both very, very loyal to Dracula. Dracula's the shiznid. He's the person that we're going to listen to for the rest of forever. I'll do anything he says. I love him to death. He's the best. And she's trying to break that in Hector. And it's this moment where she's like, he's a vampire. Why would he tell you the truth? And he's like, yeah, maybe, yeah. And I'm like, she's a vampire. Why would she tell you the truth? What are you doing? What? Hector. Logic. Use it. What are you doing?
Dracula this whole time, and then she just shows up out of nowhere, and he's like, oh yeah, I believe you. And you're like, for what reason? She just got here.
It was very weak.
That's why I was like, maybe his peen talked a bit much more.
Yeah, maybe. Because I feel like at any moment I was like, just go to Dracula and say, hey Dracula, Carmela's trying to get me to her side and she wants to kill you, and he could just snap her neck and be done with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you have why fear her?
Yeah, he has nothing to fear, because even if he's get killed by her, Dracula's gonna take her out. There's absolutely no way that he wouldn't know that. Who
gives up this position you're in? You are the number 2 in this whole enterprise, under the most powerful being on the planet. What? I don't get it. And
it seems against what he already believed, because when she first walks into Dracula's castle, she starts immediately starting crap. She starts the BS hard, and the two of them are the first ones to turn to Dracula and go who is she again? Why is she even here?
Yeah.
But then the next very scene, he's like, oh yeah, I believe you. Let's go take out Dracula. What the heck?
Yeah, she basically entered and was like, hey Dracula, your dead wife. And then there's
yes,
your dead wife.
What are you gonna do about that, Dracula? Ooh, she dissed you.
She's just like, why wasn't she a vampire? And Dracula's like, why are you talking to me, woman?
Yeah, basically. I mean, he tells her to come meet him in his study.
Yes.
And then he's like, hey, why? Stop it.
Shut up, okay?
Yeah. Also, you're late. You were supposed to be here months ago.
Forever ago.
And then she's like, Dracula must die. He's too old for this.
Mm-hmm. Too old for this. That was what bothered me the most. Don't vampires get stronger as they're older? Wouldn't that mean that he's too powerful for the job? I
don't know. I think it depends on the vampire. I think most of the time I've seen vampires do age a smidge from most of the vampire, very, very old vampires that I've seen.
And I think she was more referring to his heartache and his longing of loneliness and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's showing his human side, and they're like, nope, take him out.
And on the other hand, with Isaac, going back to the two humans that are under his command. Godbrand, who is the Viking guy, is like, hey, you need to step back and let us deal with Dracula. And he's like, nah.
Yeah.
And kills him.
Negative. Just
straight up stabs.
totally
this
kills
crap.
him. Yes.
Doesn't take any crap.
Yes. It's
He's
gnarly.
just like, well, this is a problem. I'm going to fix it.
Yes. Isaac. Ugh.
And he like made sure that he's like, you are going to try to overthrow Dracula. And Godbrand's like, yeah. And then Isaac's like, nah.
Yeah. Yes. And he
He
kills
makes sure
him
all of his
so
ducks run in
brutally
order.
too. Well, that's another thing about this series. This series is very gory and very brutal. It does not hide any of that, which is interesting to see in animation. And Isaac just, whew,
He stakes him.
yeah. Not before like ripping his neck with his spiked whip. Gosh, oh.
That he beats himself with.
Yes.
Nightly for
To remind
like, penance or whatever.
And it sets the series has a good way of setting the tone for like what kind of content we're going to get here. Like even in the very first season, we see like these goblin things eating babies and like leaving intestines around everywhere. And you're like, okay,
Absolutely.
well,
Trevor Belmont swiftly and very accurately removes someone's eyeball from their face with his whip in the first season. I was like, oh, all right. Yeah.
that was exceptionally cool. And then what's funny is Kaylee and I went to the Renaissance Festival maybe a couple weeks after that, and we saw one of the performers there was doing like their whip thing and stuff, and she's like, you could take an eye out with one of those things. And I'm like, oh.
God bless you.
He can also kill vampires.
Yeah. So that's about where we are in second season. That we've got these two humans who are creating night beasts for Dracula's army, and we've got these other vampires who are loosely loyal to Dracula but are planning to overthrow him regardless. And then we've got the Belmont team, Trevor, Sypha, and Alucard, who are like, we gotta kill Dracula. And their main point is like, he's got a castle that moves around, and that's a problem. So they decide to go to the Belmont home, which, as I aforementioned, burned down, big mansion estate thing. And Belmont's like, look, we got stuff underneath all that burnt stuff. And maybe there's something helpful there. Who knows? I love how, like, it's not even a sure plan. He's just like, there's got to be something, right? He's just like, I assume there's something that'll help, because he can't read.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been there since he was 13. So he's like...
Like he has like a slight inkling of remembrance. He's
Yes.
like, I'm pretty sure I've been there when I was a kid.
like,
But-
this is worth a shot, right? And it's like, that's the best idea we've got. So I guess...
And as he was talking about, like when he was bringing it up to them and everything, I just assumed that it was kind of like the basement of the dad's place in Attack on Titan. Like we're looking at like a closet full of like steaks and like blessed items and stuff. Like
The small
he gets down
armory.
there, there's like a whole archive of stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's like floors and floors of basement levels and stuff. And I'm like, you don't think that there's something that could kill Dracula in here?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. It's just stories and stories of books, and that's after you walk down a very long staircase. So it's cool. And then so they just hole up in there because you gotta do some kind of spell to get in there. Luckily, we've got a mage who speaks the language.
And reads.
Good get, yes.
Hashtag good kid.
And so they do that. They go in there and they basically seal themselves in there for the 3 to 4 episodes of intrigue that we just went over with Hector and Isaac and Carmela. And yeah, so it's like for those like from like episode 2 to 5, it's just kind of watching the intrigue with the vampire. So they're the only interesting part of that. And then we occasionally cut back to our home team who's either reading something or sleeping or looking at something or
There's a lot of
breaking
resting
something.
around.
It was a lot of nothing. It was really strange. But yeah, they essentially would just hold up in there trying to figure out the best way to go about getting Dracula. And they find like a magic mirror that and Alucard's like, some of these mirrors can, like, the mirrors will allow you to see different locations if you know how to use them. So they're like almost like the little seer stones in Lord of the Rings, if you remember those. Or just like a magic mirror. It's a magic mirror. You can see locations. And Alucard makes this mention. He's like, well, some of these you can even put materials through, like people and stuff, which is only meant to bring up the fact that Alucard has the same mirror, or has the same type of mirror that actually can do that, but this mirror doesn't do that. Don't worry about it. However, it can apparently transport magic.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of an episode of Jackie Chan Adventures, where they're trying to teach they're trying to teach Uncle how to use a fax machine, and he just can't figure out how to get paper to go through this machine. But later on in the episode, he uses a phone to transmit a spell to the other side. And they're like, you can spin a spell through a phone, but you can't figure out a fax machine. It's real funny. It's a good time. I love it. Anyways, so yeah, the two things that they basically are doing there is they're looking for a spell to move and disable the castle.
Which has a mechanism of transportation.
Yes.
It's like
the castle just...
a safeguard with like all kinds of gears and stuff that don't let it stop if something else interferes with it.
Yerp. He just teleports around his big old castle so he can bring mayhem wherever he chooses. It's like Hal's Moving Castle, but much more scary.
And in the first season, we kind of get this idea that the castle is like a vehicle that can be like moved from place to place, which it is. But in the season 2, when we see them like dealing with like trying to figure out how to taper it down and everything, not only do we see it as a vehicle, but we kind of see it as like Dracula's greatest weapon. Like this castle can do a lot of crap, and so like if you can pin it to the ground, that takes a lot of what Dracula can do, on a monumental scale away, and then you just have to figure out a way to take out the creature itself.
Yep, accurate. So yeah, that was the main thing they were doing, and then Trevor Shovstel's just like collecting different cool weapons while he's down there. He gets his Morningstar, the chain version of his whip, which is really cool and helpful in the games. Yep, getting that upgrade. He has a sword at one point until it breaks. But yeah, it's really cool. He just arms himself, which is cool for the sequence that eventually comes whenever the monsters finally get there. Where they finally... Okay, who is it? It's Carmela, who's like, hey, if there is a Belmont left, we should send some beasts to the Belmont home, because that's likely where they'd be hanging out. And if there's anything that can kill us... Oh, that's... So before you completely put together that Carmilla's trying to kill Dracula, if you hadn't already, there's this moment where she's talking to Hector, and she's like, look, we gotta send stuff to the Belmont home. Because if there's anything that can kill Dracula, it's definitely there. So we should we should get that, or stop them. Stop someone else from getting it. Obviously, we don't want to get it ourselves, right? We're going to stop someone else from getting their hands on that. And I'm like, you're trying to kill Dracula, B. What are you doing? And so yeah, so she has a little group of night creatures that are on their way there. They get there, they start breaking down the door, and Trevor Belmont's like, all right, I'm going to have to stop these guys. I'm going to hold them off while you figure out the stuff we've been here for days trying to figure out. And then these, 6 monsters break through the door, but luckily they fight him one-on-one, and he's able to take them all out. It's a good time. Very fun.
Very good.
And then... They struggle to get the castle in place, and then they get it in place, and they're like, where'd you put the castle? So he's like, I put it right above us. And they're like, why?
Well, before that, did you go over the magic water, or the holy water that's surrounding that the castle suddenly transports into and wipes out half the vampire planet?
That's so cool. So the other little bit of intrigue is Carmela finally convinces Dracula to move his castle to... what was that? Bela?
I don't remember.
I think it's called Bela. It's a town called Bela. And if it's not called that, that's what it's called from now on. It's called Bela. And
so this town Bela.
They moved to this town, and the reason they want to get there, the other vampires say, so we want to cut off the humans from being able to escape, because this is the coastal town. It's near a lake, it's near a river, on a river, and probably near the ocean. And they're like, we want to cut off any of their ability to escape. So we can move from that town back inland and just kill everybody. And they're like, this is very important, yada, yada. And then Dracula's nervous about it because he's like, but it's running water, y'all. And we're all like, what's water? And we're like, that's a surefire way to kill a vampire. So what Carmilla does, her intention seemed to be to use this strategic location to destroy or get rid of any like Dracula sympathizers and be able to take Dracula, which almost works. She gets they resurrect the bishop guy that died in the first season, and they have him bless the river and turn it all into holy water, and then her troops just rip out the bridge that all the Dracula vampires are standing on. They fall into the water and just instantly die. So we get that knowledge that like anyone who touches the water is gonna die and be swept away. Like during, please.
I was gonna say that, so like that bothered me. For one, it was really cool to watch, but at the same time, there's a lot of fallacies that I feel like were problematic. Like, how do you revive this corrupt bishop and have him bless the river? Like, how does he have the power anymore? One, he's a zombie controlled by a vampire, and two, he wasn't a very good guy to begin with, but he still has the power to create holy water? I don't understand.
Well, I think please,
that's more of a magic spell rather than an actual prayer to a religion.
That way. But still, like, shouldn't she just do it if she can control him? Like, why?
Well, no, I think in this world there's like probably just like divisions of magic, and like there's certain types of magic that certain people can use, or if you use certain types of dark magic, you might be tainted and not be able to use other types of holy magic or holier magic. And so I imagine like a person who's dedicated to holy magic their whole life just does that. And that's probably what he was. That's probably just the church in this is just a corrupt group of people using holy magic to instill fear and control people.
But that was a very wickedly placed plan.
Yeah, and it's so when Sypha is trying to pull the castle to their location, it's at Bela, and she's like just essentially it's fighting her, so she's just dragging it all around Bela, and at one point it just stops in the river.
The defense mechanisms activate, like the gears and stuff like start turning and try to keep it in place.
Yes.
And then like her magic is like jerking it all about the landscape and like destroying like homes and stuff. But
the poor people of Bela, because like because they like the vampires weren't there long enough to actually attack Bela. So as far as Bela knows, a large castle appeared, walked around their town, and then disappeared. And then that's it. Like, they're just like, what? Like, they have no explanation whatsoever. There's just this large hole where several houses used to be. Anyways, so at this point in time, some of the Carmilla vampires have already started attacking Dracula's castle, and they're fighting some of Dracula's troops in the castle when a lot of water comes in and just wipes out a good most of Carmilla and Dracula's vampires outside of like his like high-ranking Dracula, outside of his high-ranking generals and like a handful of troops, which is just convenient. And then they teleport the castle on top of the Belmont estate, at which point she's like, oh yeah, this is a hole. So then they have to quickly get out, but actually there's never any payoff for that. Like, it doesn't collapse. There's nothing really that really happens.
Yeah, I think it's just add suspense, like because the walls and stuff are shaking, like and like there's rubble and stuff falling down, and but you know, it's whatever.
So then we get into the castle, and that's when we have our big climactic fight. Well, not yet. First, they have to take out all the generals and handful of troops that are left, which they do pretty adeptly. It's really cool.
Yeah, with those effects were really good too. Like Sypha's like water bending and ice bending control, like with her shards of icicles and stuff.
Yes,
being molded.
And she cut that dude in half.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about her power for a second as well, because when we see Dracula move the castle in the very beginning, it takes a lot of his energy, and he just does it. You know, it obviously doesn't like bother him that much because he's probably done it a lot, but then he just kind of, he does not have to worry about it. But you do definitely see a struggle with him doing it. But then she uses a mirror to control the castle remotely and fight with Dracula to do it. And then immediately afterwards, she's like, okay, let's use this other crazy ice spell so that we can get out of here and do a bunch more ice spells to kill these guys and then some fire spells for Dracula. Like, she didn't have any time to rest, and yet she's like on par with Dracula with her magic.
Yeah.
She's got that will, bro. Like she said.
She's got that BS is what she's got.
I definitely thought that myself. I was like, she's pretty OP.
Yes,
she like melted the mechanisms
godlike.
that like teleported the castle. Like they were like melting gears pooling from the top of the castle, and I'm like, how does she have this power right now?
Yeah, well, because we need her to. She's our only hope.
It's called Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but the fight's cool. Alucard turns into a wolf. It was a good time.
Yeah, he did. Very cool. And we have like a remix of like Bloody Tears or something in the background.
Gosh,
which is really good.
The music in this section was great. The music when eventually Alucard and Dracula are just one-on-one, that music was nice.
That whole scene was amazing.
Yes. So eventually, this is something interesting I have. They eventually fight Dracula. It's 3-on-1 for the most part, because Dracula takes Isaac and throws him through the mirror portal that we alluded to earlier that can transport people. Throws him into the desert, and he's like, "Hey, I don't want you dying for me. You go live on and stuff." And he's like, "What? No, Dracula!" And then Dracula fights him on his own, which is neato. But eventually, it turns into just Dracula and Alucard. There's one moment where like Dracula sends like this very fiery, big, molten Indiana Jones boulder that slowly rolls towards them, which would have been the only point where like I guess he would have won had there not been 3 of them. But the 3 of them were able to repel that, and then from then forward, it's just Alucard and Dracula fighting. And they fight for a good bit, and it's real cool, and it's very game-like. They're pulling out their video game abilities, and Alucard's teleporting all around and stuff. It's really cool.
And like mind controlling a sword to fly around and stuff.
Yes. Oh, his abilities are so dope. And then there's a point where they're literally on a platform where they can only like go straight side to side, and I'm just like, yep, video game.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that I really enjoyed about it is that they actually did the whole like size difference thing. Like they made Dracula look like a boss monster from the video game compared to the controlled character. And there was a very obvious difference there, and I like that.
Yeah.
Cool touch.
I agree. That's cool.
It to me it felt like Trevor took a step down on the power level bracket in that whole segment. But it makes sense because Alucard did have to be the one to kill his father. But also, if Trevor wasn't there, Alucard would have to fight all of the vampires and the crap that was in the castle, and also his father. Because his father was just, like, breaking him through walls. And, like, every room of this castle, he's like, "Ah, God." Like, oh, I remember my bedroom.
This was your room.
When they finally got to that and he like broke, I was like, oh gosh, no. Not my feels. Don't give me my feels. I don't want my feels.
And then Dracula's will to fight just trickles away.
Snapped in half.
And then he gets stabbed by his son.
And then Belmont beheads him. Let's go. Oh, that was a sad moment. I'm killing my boy. Oh, I'm like, just die, Dracula. Yeah, but Alucard calls him out and we're like, this has just been a very long suicide note, Dracula. Just end it. There's no need to suffer. And we're like, yeah, boy, just end it. And then he does.
When put in that perspective, it definitely brings a whole lot more emotion to it. The feels come very quickly because he's right. Like, Dracula at this point was really just trying to die. And he knew that there was nothing that could stop him, so he was just going to sit there and live his eternity, draining until his will just left him, basically.
On the other hand, I think that they may have done this a bit too early for the series.
I agree.
This
Where do you
feel
go
like
from here? What
I
season
mean,
3 look like?
Carmilla, like at most, but meh.
However,
But yeah,
the article I read, that confirmed season 3, that was talking about confirming season 3. I think also mentioned that a few other voice cast members were definite to return, and one of those returns is Dracula's voice.
Well, I mean, that could
So
be like
it
flashbacks.
it could be a flashback, yes, but I'm like, to what end? What? I think he's done all the establishing he needs. We know any other characters are like. The only thing I can think is maybe if Isaac or Hector has some fond memory of Dracula, that's where he would be needed. That's the only flashback I can think of. Because, I mean, we know Carmilla doesn't like it. We don't need to establish that any further.
Or Isaac could find a way to resurrect him.
Yes! Let's go! What if they find a way to resurrect a vampire?
Because he is a forge master.
He's a forge master.
Does he come back in the games, though? That's what I want
I have no clue. I know so little about the games that I wish I knew, because I feel like there are nods here to people who know things, and I'm not one of those people.
But I mean, the whole basis of most of the Castlevania games is Dracula at being the end boss. So you kill him each game. So I assume if they do, that he'll probably be resurrected.
Yeah, likely. I feel like there must have been, because I know there's a game with Alucard in it. I feel like there's probably a game with Carmilla in it. I don't feel like she's a made up character. Maybe she is, but there have to be other games with Isaac and Hector in it as well. I'd like to figure that out, but I haven't looked. I should probably have researched more. I didn't. Listeners, just so you know, this is me telling you that. But yeah, all this climax, this killing Dracula and all that happens episode 7. So we have a whole nother episode for an epilogue, which I feel might have been a bit much, but it does. I mean, it ties up loose ends, I guess, because we don't see Carmilla or Hector from the time that the castle teleports out of Bela and to the Belmont estate. And they're just like, what? And then then we just don't see them. Which is really funny because they weren't in the castle at the time. So we get an establishment of that. We see what Carmella's planning. We see her take Hector forcefully. Which again, Hector just I don't like. You should have been. Sorry.
Both Carmilla and Isaac are characters in Castlevania games.
Ah, cool.
Most specifically, he's in a. No, it is a game. Okay, I thought I read comic and stuff, but he's also in a weird game. I don't know.
A weird game.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Cool.
Anyway,
is there one for the DS that's good?
Probably.
There's a couple that are pretty good.
You're my DS knowledge, Eddie. You're supposed to know these things. So yeah, we get to establish what they're doing. We see Isaac in the desert. We watch him kill 5 people who were picking on him because they're bullies, and turn them into night creatures. And essentially, it's really funny because they're like, look, there's this dude here. Let's take him. Or
their
they
first thought was, let's put him into slavery.
Yeah, let's sell him into slavery, guys, and tie him up and have him walk behind the horse. And then eventually, Isaac takes that guy's horse and ties that guy up in night creature form and has him walk behind his horse. And I'm like, hey, look, poetic justice. Isaac's cool. We'll definitely see more of him, and I want to see more of him. Of all the villains, he was my favorite. He's just so dope. He's very very firm in his convictions, and that's an attractive trait in anything, I think. But also a villain. So yeah.
And then we see
what else happens?
Trevor, we see Trevor and Sypha come together, and they go out they plan to go on an adventures together. But it's also kind of like a relationship or something.
Mm-hmm.
It felt a little
for each other.
She essentially proposes to him.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's like,
okay,
I guess.
I mean, they probably. I mean, they're a cute couple, but I just never really saw them as a couple. I just saw Trevor as a dummy, and Sypha was like the intelligent
Yeah.
Hermione character, basically.
Yeah, but they definitely
thinks
pushed
he's
that
hot.
romance. Yeah, she thinks he's hot. They definitely pushed that romance in this one. And they were like, we'll go back to the speakers, we'll tell them what happened, and then let's go kill some more stuff together. I think she just likes killing stuff, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
She likes showing off
Yeah,
with her godly powers.
absolutely.
And something that just came to me now. So she's fighting, basically almost one-on-one in certain parts with Dracula, but Trevor found her frozen in stone fighting a minotaur. Like, she had problems with a minotaur, but she can fight Dracula head on.
I think she just like hadn't ever really seen this kind of stuff before.
Maybe.
Like hadn't been
Maybe
initiated.
she learned a lot from the books.
Yeah,
She must have
That's
learned a
also
lot
true.
from
I'm
those
sure
books.
she spent like several days reading books, so maybe she learned a lot down there. But I think she just hadn't been initiated into that world yet until Trevor and this other stuff had shown up. And then once she like accepted that, she was like, "Oh, this is a thing that happens. There are these creatures. All right, cool. We can kill them. Let's do it." And I think it was just a switch that sort of flipped for her. Yeah. What else? They give the Belmont estate to Alucard, and Belmont's like, Alucard, you need to not go to sleep. Just stay awake. Guard this place. Guard your castle. Guard Dracula's castle and the Belmont estate from anyone who
I
would
like that
who harm with
dichotomy.
it. Yes.
The Alucard's castle on top and the Belmont basement with
Yeah.
all the archives and stuff.
It's really cool. I like that a
They
lot.
have tons of knowledge, and Alucard's going to be the smartest person in the world.
Absolutely.
He's going to read
Belmont's like,
all of those books.
Belmont's like, guard all this knowledge. But secretly he's like, I can't read, so I don't want to stay here and have to watch
I
this
can't
stuff.
do this.
So,
I have no interest in this.
yeah. It's good. It's a good series. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's very good. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a very faithful adaptation, I think,
Yeah.
to of what I know of the Castlevania game series, at least.
And to at
'cause I
least
don't know very much of it.
To at least the tone.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, it's not very difficult to get like Vampire Hunter family Dracula.
I guess not. But they gave us a good place to start.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. So yeah, definitely watch this if you haven't already, and look out for season 3 coming out next year sometime.
Good.
It's gonna be good. I'm gonna watch. I wonder if they're gonna make it like 12 episodes. Like I wonder if they're just gonna
It's
double.
gonna be 10 episodes.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah,
10.
10
That's a good number.
confirmed. Unless they change it like right before release, but it's supposed to be 10.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be 10. Animation's harder.
That
to,
doesn't waver.
Yeah, it's harder to misread or misplan that. Well, cool. What are we all nerding out to?
Smash.
Smash Bros. So yes, Smash Brothers Ultimate came out yesterday. I have a copy. Eddie has a copy. Scott, do you have a copy?
No, I do not. Nor
He's
will
probably
I
not
get
gonna
a
get
copy.
one because
No.
he's lame.
No, definitely not. I'm saving for Kingdom Hearts, and Smash is one of those things that I love playing with friends, but I just cannot. I can't bring myself to play it by myself. I'm sorry.
Kingdom Hearts is not a bad choice. I will be getting that as well. What's the date on that? Does that come out PAX weekend?
That's January 21st, I think.
Wow,
21st
right
or
after.
27th?
Yeah, right after. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, dang,
Goodness.
they're probably gonna show that off at PAX then.
I bet you they will.
Probably.
I'm super pumped.
Yeah, you're gonna have to
That'll
get
be
me for
the-
that, Ethan.
That'll be the Monster Hunter line.
Yeah, that might be actually, unless Nintendo's like Animal Crossing, and then everybody's gonna go Animal Crossing.
Do you think they would pick that over Kingdom Hearts?
Oh yes.
I mean, I guess you
Well,
would.
no, I don't know actually.
Animal Crossing over Kingdom Hearts, though?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know how many people are at least clamoring for freaking Animal Crossing. It is like it is very beloved.
Yeah, and I guess
very
the
popular.
generation has skipped over Kingdom Hearts. Like, there's not a lot of people that are out there clamoring for Kingdom. Well, I mean, there probably is, but let's be honest.
mean-
Like, I feel like that bandwagon's kind of moved on.
I don't know. I mean, it definitely should have come out sooner than now. But
Oh yeah,
I don't think the hype's gonna be as big as other games that are coming out, like Animal Crossing, because, good lord, it's been what 6 years since the last game came out, so
only 6.
only 6 compared to Kingdom Hearts' 20.
15.
Close enough.
Hopefully, it won't take this many years for Final Fantasy 16 to come out. Jeez Louise.
Probably.
No, I think they're both going to be pretty in high demand.
Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah,
hopefully they're both there.
That's cool.
But yeah, either way, Scott's a lame-o.
Accurate.
Do you guys have favorite mains that you play with?
Well, I've mained Lucario,
Well, yeah.
but I used to main Wolf and Brawl, so now that he's back, I might go switch it up some.
Have you unlocked him yet?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I haven't unlocked
Lucario yet.
In the most recent game, or the Wii U game I played, I mained Wii Fit Trainer and Zero Suit Samus, and I have not unlocked either of those yet. So
I've got Wii Fit Trainer.
Well done. How'd you get it?
But that's it. I just played the game. I'm just getting foes as I play.
They just showed up. They just showed up from like online play, or
no? I've been doing the adventure stuff.
The spirits. Yeah, I've been playing spirits too, but I must have gone a different direction than you because I have not located that yet. I've got Marth, Pac-Man, Zelda, Ness. I just got Inkling. There's at least one other one that I'm forgetting. I lost to Pit. I'm gonna have to fight him again.
I lost to Zelda.
Really?
But I beat Pit. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not good with like ranged weapon. Ranged fighter.
I'm not. I'm like. I'm really iffy with the Switch controls. I don't because I don't have a GameCube adapter.
Did you not get one for the Wii U?
They're basically extinct. I didn't have a Wii U. No. So like they're basically extinct. So like they're the hardest thing to find right now.
If you can find a Wii U one, they do work on the Switch. So.
Right, that's what I hear. There's one I could probably get and have probably before Christmas. All the rest of them are like they won't be here till after Christmas. But however, GameStop, maniacally so, has created a package deal where you can get a GameCube adapter and a GameCube controller together for $50.
That's not bad.
Online only, which you can acquire. And I'm like, I only intended to spend $20 on this, but like I'm really seriously considering that because I could have it in 2 days. And then I would have 4 GameCube controllers, and so I would never need anyone else to bring their GameCube controller. I would just have them.
Party.
Yeah, like I just. It's just, they're just like, you want to spend more money, and I'm like, no, but I will. Gosh,
that's how they get you.
Yeah, that is exactly how they get you. So, anyways, they might get me in this week coming.
But they've excited a lot of people with this new battle pack that's coming out, the Persona 5 battle pack.
Oh man,
and
I'm certain if they that are hyped for that.
I don't know if I know that. What is that?
So Persona? The next Persona 5.
Shin Megami Tensei.
I mean, I know what Persona is. What is this battle pack you're talking about?
Joker is in Smash.
Yeah, the first Smash pack.
The first DLC.
Yeah. It's going to be them.
Cool. All right.
And that looks pretty exciting. They haven't hit an IP that I'm like super excited about, but if they brought out like a Sora or something in this game, I might have to.
Well, Persona is pretty much like Sony only, so
yeah,
it's quite a
catch.
Eyebrow raiser.
Yeah.
Of what they could have in the near future.
So Absolutely.
It means Banjo-Kazooie is definitely a possibility.
Let's speculate wildly. Banjo-Kazooie, what else?
Hey, Banjo-Kazooie is like one of the top requested.
We're going to have Spyro.
Nathan Drake would be pretty cool, especially since
we're going to have Nathan Drake. We're going to get Sly Cooper and his group. Jack and Daxter.
Sly Cooper, jeez Louise.
Crash Bandicoot. Ratchet and Clank.
Ratchet and Clank, we gotta have them. Gotta have all the ands.
Ratchet and Clank would be really good for Smash too, especially since they played so well in the PlayStation Heroes game.
Ew.
I don't think I ever played that game.
It was bad.
There were some good aspects about it.
Aspects don't make a game.
There were some good characters like Ratchet and Clank.
We're gonna get Deku in the My Hero Academia group.
I'm gonna play Deku. That's my main.
Hey, there's an existing fighting game for them. So.
Green Naruto.
Yes.
Green Naruto.
What if we get a Naruto patch? What if they just drop Naruto into this?
Naruto is totally a possibility.
It absolutely is. There's so many.
Because they have Bandai. They have Bandai on this game.
They do have Bandai. So that means they could also get One Piece as well. So.
Oh my god. Let's not go.
If they put Luffy in Smash, I'm have to
Good Lord.
What if they're just like, yeah, we're gonna beat every other existing copycat of Smash by just having their best players in Smash already? What? What do you want? What are you gonna do?
That's ridiculous to think about.
Anyways, that's cool.
I've also been watching an anime called Tensei Shitara Slime Daraken, which is
That time I got reincarnated with a slime.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
And
the one.
it's really good
Is
so
it?
far. I'm pleasantly surprised
Cool.
by how good this anime is, because I wasn't expecting very much.
Oddly enough, I've heard good things about it, so I might also join you.
Yeah, like it starts off with a guy being stabbed and killed, like in the first 5 minutes.
Hey,
and
that's
then
how my
he's
favorite anime
reincarnated.
starts, minus
Yeah.
the stabbing. But
Wow. He gets reincarnated, obviously, in this magical world. It's so. You guys know about Overlord, right?
yes.
Okay, well, it's like this big undead
Yes.
avatar guy,
Mhm.
rules with an iron fist. This feels like the opposite.
Yes,
of
this is supposed to be the opposite.
like complete opposite of everything that Overlord was, and it's really fun because it's just this god slime has all these skills and stuff, and starts helping people and helping these goblins, and then helping dwarves, and it's really cute. It's
Yeah.
cute and it's really funny. I didn't expect that. I figured that the reincarnation bit was just a anime thing, just throw it out there. But it's actually coming into play, which I didn't expect. So that's also a pleasant surprise, because he's bringing kind of that modern thought of don't be mean to people, don't be mean to other races, don't look down on them, stuff like that. And he's teaching these goblins that, and now he's making these powerful allies because of his own power, I guess. Because when in this world, if you name a monster, they evolve, they get more powerful.
Huh.
So he named this whole goblin clan, and now they're Bishonen and Bishojo people. It's pretty hilarious, but
That's funny.
it's really good so far.
That is cool. I will probably get into that.
Enjoying it.
Is that on Hulu?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'll have to see. Because I have Hulu now, so but I haven't really delved into it. It's one of the many things I've bought in the past couple months. I'm just yeah, I have this now, and I just haven't done anything with it.
It's on Crunchyroll.
Got you.
Sorry.
No worries. I can still maybe find that.
No, you can't.
Boop-a-doop-a-boo. We were talking about wanting to play the Castlevania games. After I finished Castlevania, I remembered that I have a Castlevania game on my SNES Mini.
On your SNES Mini.
Yeah, so I played Super Castlevania 4.
Yeah.
I played the
It's a
first
really good
level,
one.
just got to the first boss, and it was enjoyable. It was fine. It was, to be honest with you, I was expecting some story. There's none.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a normal for Castlevania games. That's why I said with the first season, they really went deep into Dracula lore, because
Yeah. Because
there's not anything in the game.
No, there's nothing. There aren't any names of the levels. It's just stage 1 and stage 2. There's no text, and you just appear at the beginning of a level when you start this game, and that's it. That's all you're doing. You can name your character. That's it.
That's a pretty common trope though with the older games, because you always get instruction booklets with those, and you can read the story and stuff from the instruction booklets. So they never included it in the game.
It is so. Castlevania is a Metroidvania.
Oh, it's not. It's a Castlevania.
It's a Castlevania. So obviously we have this term in video game culture now, which is Metroidvania, which is referring to a game in the style of Castlevania or Metroid, aka an exploratory side scroller platformer,
Revisiting old areas with new skills and things like that.
Absolutely. And it was kind of I only died 3 times. I just like everybody to know on the first level. It was a good time.
The first level.
There was one point where I literally walked off the edge because I didn't realize it was an edge, because it was just
The background blended
hard to read. Yes, it was. I just fell to my death.
in. A common problem with those older games too. So.
One time I ran out of time, because that's a thing in this game. You can run out of time, and then the other time I was speeding to death. That's it. Yeah. So It's crazy. I like. Also, when you acquire pickups in this game, it looks as though you're getting hurt. So it like for a while, I just wouldn't pick up pickups because I didn't know that that's what they were. As in, like, when you pick up the metal chain, first off, it doesn't look like a metal chain. It looks like a skeleton sitting on the ground. When you pick it up, he makes a noise like, ooh, and, like, and he, like, goes, like, he flashes, like as if he's immune, like, as if you get hit and then you're immune for a couple seconds because you got hit because they're trying to help you. That's what it looks like. Like, he flashes for a bit, and I'm like, oh, I guess I got hurt. And I didn't realize that I had actually just picked up the chain whip because I hadn't used my whip yet. So, like, I just thought I started with a chain whip. And then the next time I got hurt, I went back down to the regular whip, and I was like, okay. Oh. Also, you can pick up hearts in this game. But guess what? They're not health.
Nope, they are currency for weapon usage.
Yep. It took me a bit to figure that out, and I was like, what?
Like, what is healing?
There's a ridiculous HUD. Like, there's several bars and numbers up top that mean nothing to me, and it took me a while to figure out like which button to use when you acquire. There are like extra weapons you can acquire that are just like throwing weapons, and it took me a while to figure out how to use those. Also, if you throw one like the boomerang one and it misses you when it comes back, it just won't come back, so you just don't have that anymore. It is an unforgiving platformer. It's a fun time though. I may go back and play more of it and just give you
wonder if games are just much easier now, or if the games are just really, really hard back then.
No, games are totally easier now. I mean, both of those things are the same, Scott. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I think games on the whole are a lot simpler now, easier, and they're just easier to control as well. So like there are multiple ways that they have gotten easier, but then that also leaves room for games like Dark Souls to be just excruciatingly hard for those who are into a hardcore, more intense games. So I think games in a lot of ways are better now for multiple reasons. But it was a fun time. It was a fun little look into that. I am also still playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Trying to beat everybody there.
Be the very best.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out how to learn how to surf. You have to talk to a very particular guy who's staring at a Lapras. I did not know that because it's not in your immediate path.
Why don't you talk to everyone, Ethan? You talk to everyone in an RPG.
I tried. I literally was doing so.
Everyone.
And I literally was doing so at this point, but there's a point where you get to the Pokemon Go park. You walk in, and Pikachu's like, Pika! And there's like a little like cutscene, and he walks around and runs around and says hello to all of the Pokemon that are just sitting out in front of the park. So it's like the Safari Zone. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I guess he said hi to everyone. And so then I just walked into the park. I said hi to everyone there. I talked to everyone there. I just never realized that there was a person standing by the Lapras that was in the cutscene that I had to talk to. And yeah, he taught me how to sea skim. And I just recently started surfing on my Gyarados, and it's pretty dope.
Yeah,
it's pretty freaking dope. Yeah, I like it a lot. I started catching some water Pokemons. Got a Poliwag, got a Staryu, got a Tentacool and a Tentacruel. Good time. I've also become obsessed now with getting the best version of everything, or getting the great stat version of every Pokemon that I have. So I've been just taking an entire detour from the story, and I'm just doing that. So anytime I come across a new Pokemon, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to catch 10 of these until I have a good one. A great one, excuse me. And yeah, that's what I've been doing, and then just send back all the okays and goods. I caught a Tentacool with amazing stats, which is crazy, because amazing's your highest, and I've never seen one in the wild like that. I get amazing stat Pokemon through trades. But no, I just caught a Tentacool with amazing stats. I'm like, all right, dope.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that's it for me thus far. Yeah.
Well, we just finished the Stormblood expansion in Final Fantasy XIV, Kaylee and I. And
boring.
Now we're working through,
no, I'm joking.
the final patches of that, the story mode and everything, preparing for the newest patch, which is coming out in January, but also the preparatory stuff for the expansion next summer.
Okay, now, every time you talk about this, I'm going to ask you this. I need you to remind me. Is Fran in the game yet?
No, she comes in January. She'll come in the next expansion, next patch coming out.
That's pre-patch time.
Yeah, that's pre-patch.
Man,
So we'll also get
sound crazy.
We'll also get Blue Mage as our new class as well.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Joyous.
It's a solo class, though.
It is a solo class, but
Super weird.
It's content related. It's rather than being
So-
like a combat class, it's more like
really
content
weird.
class.
So I know the meanings of these words individually.
Yes.
But
so Blue
what
Mage,
is a solo class?
a solo class is something that you would do for story or for just general PvE content. It wouldn't be like you wouldn't become Blue Mage and then go into like dungeons with friends and stuff and kill bosses.
Yeah.
I mean, you might be able to with like some story dungeons, but you wouldn't be able to do it for like big stuff.
You can't party up with people unless they're blue mages, basically.
Yeah.
And that's really bad.
Well, the reason why it makes sense because like the Blue Mage is dependent upon what skills they learn from what monsters they fight, and so
Yeah,
Blue Mage are really
that
dumb.
makes
Like,
sense.
just so weird.
But at the same time, it's a bad idea.
yeah. But at the same time, I think that people have been asking for Blue Mage and they don't know what Blue Mage was, but this is what Blue Mage is.
I think it's
and
because
this is-
people don't know what they want, Scott. Blue Mage
Yeah.
is bad. Blue Mage is a pain in my butt. Anytime I'm working with Blue Mage in tactics, because like one of the goals I like to complete in the tactics games is to get at least one character of each race to learn every possible technique in every job, and I have one like that except Blue Mage because I have to depend on monsters attacking me to learn their techniques, which is so stupid.
And what's cool about this Blue Mage is that it can not only learn moves from like mobs, like basic monsters and stuff, but also from bosses as well, and which is really really cool. But like I said,
It's a solo class.
It's a solo thing, so you can't just and makes sense because like you know if I started Blue Mage and I didn't go to any of those dungeons and stuff to learn any moves, then I'm just doing like basic Cactuar attacks or whatever it is, and so I could be level 50 and still be dealing out very little damage because I don't have the experience from the monsters moves. So
Is there a Beastmaster class or a Morpher class?
no, there's talk of a Geomancer and a Beastmaster class coming out in the next.
Geomancer would be cool. So like one of the ways to get around the Blue Mage problem in tactics was to use a Beastmaster, who is they're a class that can essentially turn monsters, like can control monsters or charm them or turn them to your side, and then you can just choose what they do, and so you would just do that to a monster and then have that monster attack your Blue Mage.
It's kind of like a tamer.
I think it would be cool to have a Beastmaster in.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the classes that are kind of being brought up as well, and I'm hoping that because we know that in the new expansion we're going to get several classes, not just a new class, and this is also. Because it's a solo limited class, it's not like what we expect from a normal change. So we're expecting some better stuff than this in the next expansion.
Well, cool.
Let's hope so.
Yeah,
exactly. I think I've told you all this, or at least I've told David this. I don't know if I mentioned it on the pod. Like the thing that really kept me off of 14, or maybe not really care about it too much, was just that they made up a whole new world and a whole new set of races and a whole new set of classes and jobs for this. And I was I just want to play around in the stuff that's already established that I love, like Ivalice.
Don't change anything, cries the gamers.
Don't
that
ever
just
change
want
anything.
Something more of the old things.
Well, I just think it would.
We want something different, cries the gamers who don't know what they want. Ethan.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, no, I thought it would be cool to play as a Vieira or a Bongo or a.
And I agree. There are aspects of it that are really cool, but if you want to play all the things that you normally see in a Final Fantasy 12 game, you should just play Final Fantasy 12.
Look, fool, it's not just in Final Fantasy 12. Thank you very much.
No, I agree.
It's also Final Fantasy 10 and Final Fantasy Tactics, the only games that Ethan's ever played of Final Fantasy.
True.
Excuse you. I've also played Crystal Chronicles. It was amazing.
Oh, excuse me. The fake Final Fantasy games.
But one of the cool things about the in-game content that's unlocked here is something called the Delta Escape, which is like this otherworldly Magitech simulator thing, and what it does is it simulates bosses from past Final Fantasy games. So we get to fight, we get to fight Gilgamesh, and we get to fight
Gilgamesh.
a bunch of different bosses. I haven't actually started working in it just yet. I just unlocked it, but I'm just like excited to see what kind of content that's going to come out of it. But there's like gradual tiers that get higher and more difficult as it goes along, and it drops like the top tier stuff. But it pays homage to basically every Final Fantasy game that has come before it, which I think is really why I like Final Fantasy XIV so much, because it is its own story, its own race and world and everything, but it also has all of the favorite things that we do love in Final Fantasy games.
What other Final Fantasy games have you played, Scott?
I've played Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7, and Final Fantasy... That's it, I think. I was going to play Final Fantasy 12, but mostly I've just been watching Kaylee play it. So.
I like how you jumped back to Final Fantasy 7 after saying the bigger numbers thing.
That's true. Well, because like it took me so long to like get myself geared to play it.
How many of those have you played before 14?
Before 14, I played 10 and 13, and that's it. Yeah.
Interesting.
You guys want to hear the games that I've played?
Please.
Sure.
What Final Fantasy games have you played?
1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 14.
That's cool.
Wow.
Which one's your favorite?
Probably 9.
9. Okay, so I've heard a lot of people that like 9, and I never actually got to play it myself. Is it available on anything other than the PS1?
It's available on PC, sir.
Yeah, most Final Fantasy games now are kind of emulated on the PC. Or have been remade into
I think
3DS games, or
I think it's coming out on Switch too. It's one of the ones that are coming out
Oh
on
yeah, I
Switch.
think it was one of the ones. That's cool.
Because 8 wasn't being released. It's 7, 9, and like X.
now I'm confused.
12,
Is that going to be
12.
like? Is it going to be like a pack
10,
of
10,
games
2,
you
and
can
12.
get?
What?
No, it'll probably be individual. Well, I'm sure there'll be a pack available, but I'm pretty sure you can buy them individually.
I imagine 10 and 10-2 would come in a pack.
Yeah,
That's how they've normally
because
come.
that's how it comes now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have 10-2, and I've got Final Fantasy 13-2 and other 13 games as well, but I just haven't played them. I haven't beat the other ones, so I haven't decided to get into those just yet either. One of these days I'll maybe go back and finish it. I've got tons of content to play with. I just haven't got around to doing it.
Playing Pokemon that you played for the third time.
Yeah,
Kanto.
I play. Yeah,
Like,
but I can't play games that I haven't
If anyone
played
in this
before.
conversation has too many games that they haven't played, it's not Scott or Ethan.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ethan.
Whatever, Eddie.
I got Smash to play. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
These other 120 games. Guess what? There's a new pirate MMO coming out in like 4 days that I'm probably going to get to, and I'm going to play that.
What?
What's it called? I've never heard of it.
Atlas. It's the same people that made Ark Evolved Survival or whatever it's called.
So is it going to fail like Ark did?
Ark didn't fail.
Ark
sir.
did not fail.
I mean,
It's very
Ark-
popular.
It
but,
didn't go well when it came to the Switch, I don't think, but it did fine where it was.
like it
originally.
wasn't as popular as many other MMOs
Yeah.
like 14 and WoW and etc.
I know Corey
but-
liked it for a bit.
Lots of people still play, and I'm expecting quite a bit of big things from Atlas because they basically it feels like they looked at Sea of Thieves and it was like, let's do that but better, because it has a very large similarity to it of like exploration and pirate ship battles and things like that. So I'm
Cool.
pretty excited and hope I'm not going to be screwed again by a game that I just want to enjoy being a pirate about.
Best of luck to you, Eddie.
Thank you. It's only gonna be $30 in 4 days on the 13th.
Oh, nice.
And
On to Switch.
it's gonna be early
Or no,
release
on,
for like
on the Steams.
it's 5 days. The 13th is in 5 days, but it's gonna be an early release title for like 2 years, and then they'll release it in 2 years completely. So yeah, it'll be
Solid.
$60 by then. So get it half off right now.
What
Or
fun.
5 days.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's very
Well, I hope you enjoy that.
I hope I do too. Because dear God. Sea of Thieves was such a disappointment.
Hope it doesn't ruin you for
Oh my god.
pirate
Piracy
games.
is forever gone. Piracy's dead.
Did you play Black Flag?
No.
Okay.
I haven't played any Assassin's Creed. We say
Black
this
Flag
every
is probably
time
my favorite Assassin's
we talk
Creed
about
games.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I've played all of them except for the most recent two.
I hear they're
Black
very
Flag is
good.
by far my favorite. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're-
I've heard Odyssey's really nice.
yeah. Odyssey.
Also, there's
Odyssey's
giant
been pretty,
Anubises.
pretty good.
Eddie. Of course there are. Anyways, well, I think that does it for this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We very much appreciate it. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Whatever you can do to support us and help us out, we appreciate it. If you want to let us know what you thought about Castlevania and if you're excited for the next season or what crazy predictions you have for what's going to happen in the next season, let us know. You can hit us up on Twitter at TNYKPod, or you can drop us an email at thosenerdsyouknowpod at gmail.com. You can find the pod on iTunes and Google Play and Podbean and Castbox and Stitcher. Whew, that was hard. Also on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook as well. Give us a like there. We'd appreciate it. But yeah, that's about it. My name is Ethan.
I'm Eddie.
I'm Scott.
And we are Those Nerds You Know.
Bye.
Bye.